China invented canals. The Grand Canal, stretching from Beijing to Hangzhou, is the longest artificial waterway ever built on this planet. Over 1,700 kilometers of hand-dug channel that took centuries to complete. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the greatest engineering achievements in human history. Then China stopped. For 1,000 years, the country that practically invented canal engineering built nothing new. Dynasties rose and fell. Empires expanded and collapsed. The Grand Canal was maintained and repaired, but nobody broke new ground. For a full millennium, that was it. Then in August 2022, diggers broke ground in southern China. And 1,000 years of silence ended with one of the most technically ambitious infrastructure projects on the planet. The problem that waited 1,000 years to be solved. Southern China's Guangxi region has one of the most frustrating geographies imaginable. It sits right next to the sea. You can stand on a hill in southern Guangxi and see the ocean on the horizon. But the rivers there flow east, not south. The main waterway through the region is China's second busiest inland river, carrying nearly 180 million tons of cargo through its locks in just the first half of a single year. But all that cargo has to detour hundreds of kilometers east through an entirely different province before it can reach the ocean. Ships from the interior travel an extra 560 kilometers just to find salt water. 560 kilometers of wasted fuel, wasted time, and wasted money every single day for every single ship. It is like living next door to a grocery store, but having to walk around the entire block just to get through the door. The Pingluo Canal fixes that. And the way it fixes it is where the story gets extraordinary. 134 kilometers through mountains. The Pingluo Canal runs 134 kilometers from the interior river system straight south to the coast. On paper, that sounds straightforward. In reality, the route cuts directly through mountainous terrain. The watershed crossing section alone required carving through more than 6 kilometers of solid mountain ridge. Total investment, roughly $10 billion, making it one of the most expensive canal projects in history. The canal is built to China's highest inland waterway standard. It handles 5,000-ton cargo vessels, 90 meters long, 15 meters wide, with a 5-meter draft. This is not a barge path. This is a full-scale shipping highway carved through mountains. And it is China's first river-to-sea canal ever built. The first canal of any kind since the Grand Canal. 1,000 years of nothing. And then this. The engineering problem nobody had solved before. Here is the central challenge that makes this project unlike any other canal on Earth. The inland end sits 65 meters higher than the sea end. 65 meters. That is the height of a 20-story building. You cannot dig a slope and let ships slide down it. You cannot put a 5,000-ton cargo vessel on a ramp. You need a way to physically raise and lower ships through 65 meters of elevation, efficiently enough to handle millions of tons of cargo every year. Other countries have solved parts of this problem before. The Panama Canal lifts ships 26 meters. The Three Gorges Dam in China has a ship lift that raises vessels over 100 meters. But nobody had ever built a lock system this large, for ships this heavy, with this much elevation to overcome, while also saving water at the same time. That last part is what makes the Pingluo Canal genuinely new. A water staircase for ocean-going ships. The solution is 3 massive lock complexes spaced along the canal. Each one is a double-lane ship lock, 300 meters long, 34 meters wide, and 8 meters deep. Each lock chamber is longer than a football field and wide enough to fit 2 5,000-ton cargo ships side by side. 6 vessels can be raised or lowered simultaneously. The first and largest complex features the world's biggest inland water-saving ship lock, with 3 tier water-saving chambers and a maximum operating head of nearly 30 meters. Its main structure covers 185,000 square meters. That is roughly the footprint of 25 football fields, just for one lock complex. When you stand at the base of the first lock and look up, The concrete structure towers above you like a skyscraper, laid on its side. The way it works is simple and quietly brilliant. A cargo ship sails into the lock chamber. The gates close behind it, sealing the chamber watertight. Water fills from the tier above, raising the ship to the next level. The gates ahead open, and the ship sails forward. At the first complex alone, ships rise through 3 levels, climbing nearly 30 meters. The same process repeats at the second and third complexes. By the time a ship has passed all 3, it has climbed 65 meters from river level up to the ridge, or descended 65 meters down to the sea. No engines lift the ship. Gravity and water pressure do all the work. You literally float up a mountain. The water problem the Panama Canal never solved. Traditional locks waste enormous amounts of water every time they operate. Fill a chamber, raise a ship, open the gate, and millions of liters flow downstream and are gone forever. The Panama Canal had to build an entirely new set of water-saving locks during its recent expansion, specifically because the original locks were draining Gatun Lake too fast. Run locks hundreds of times a day and you drain the river. The Pingluo Canal locks use a 3-tier water recycling system. Instead of dumping water, the chambers capture it in dedicated storage basins beside each lock and reuse it for the next cycle. The result? These locks use 60% less fresh water than conventional locks. Over a full year, that saves roughly 1 billion cubic meters of water. 1 billion cubic meters. In a region where droughts are becoming more frequent and water security is a growing concern, that is not a nice engineering feature. That is a necessity built into the design from day one, something the Panama Canal engineers are still working to achieve decades after their canal opened. What this changes economically. The 560-kilometer detour was never just an inconvenience. It was an economic stranglehold on an entire region. Every ton of cargo traveling that extra distance costs more in fuel, more in time, and more in wear on ships and infrastructure. Multiply that across millions of tons per year, and the numbers become staggering. The Pingluo Canal eliminates that detour entirely. Ships from the interior can now sail directly south to the coast and out to the South China Sea. The canal is projected to handle 89 million tons of cargo per year at opening, with projections reaching 120 million tons annually by 2050. It will save over $700 million in transport costs every single year. More significantly, it opens a direct shipping route from China's southwest to Southeast Asia, and that matters enormously. Trade between China and Asian countries recently crossed nearly $1 trillion annually. Guangxi, which has always been one of China's poorer inland regions, precisely because it lacked direct coastal access, suddenly becomes the front door to Southeast Asia. The entire economic geography of the region gets rewritten by 134 kilometers of canal, built faster than most countries approve a highway. Construction started in August 2022. As of early 2026, the project is over 94% complete, with the main waterway construction approaching 93% finished, and investment completion hitting 95.5%. The canal has entered its critical water testing phase. The main navigation structures are functionally ready. Official opening, September 2026. Roughly 4 years after the first shovel hit the ground. Ahead of the original schedule. 4 years to build a 134-kilometer canal through mountains, with the world's largest water-saving ship locks, a 65-meter elevation system, and 315 million cubic meters of excavation, ahead of schedule. For comparison, the Thames Tideway Tunnel in London, a 25-kilometer sewage tunnel, took over 10 years from approval to completion. The East Side Access Project in New York, connecting 2 train lines across 3.5 kilometers, took 17 years. China built a 134-kilometer mountain canal, with ship locks the size of city blocks in 4 years. China had not built a major canal in 1,000 years. When it finally did, it built one of the most technically sophisticated waterways ever constructed. And it finished it faster than most countries take to approve a highway extension. If this is the kind of engineering story that stops you mid-scroll, subscribe and hit the bell. Drop in the comments, did you know China hadn't built a major canal in 1,000 years before this one?